can start working on is if my travel status is accepted, then I can say if my travel status is accepted, then make the start and end date as a read only. If my travel status is not accepted, then make the, I can say, start and end date as mandatory. So there is something that we want to perform. We want that if my travel status is like this, then I want to make the start date and end date read only. Otherwise, I want to make it mandatory. This is something that I want to perform. Okay. So now for that operation to be done, for us to understand that, okay, let's just try debugging this out first. Okay, so here I'll just say, I'll just go over here in my travel class that I do have, I'll just put a cursor in my get instance feature. And here, as you can see, what I am getting is the input is get type table for instance feature key. Here I am getting a kind of a travel ID over here. Okay, and if I just go one more step back, in the requested feature, I'll just say begin date and end date because these are the only two fields, right? I'll just go back, and here in the result, you would see that here you would be passing that for this travel ID, what should be the behavior of this. Okay, so this is how you would be, this is where you would be actually implementing those, I can say logic, what you have to do. I'll just put a breakpoint over here. I'll just activate the breakpoint. Go back, try refreshing this. Okay, now in this particular case, you would see that as we are in the initial load, so during the initial load itself, you would see that you are getting a breakpoint getting triggered. Now, in this case, you would see in the locals, what all things you are getting is a key parameter and the requested feature. So in the requested feature, let's just say if I expand, you would see that, okay, for this two field, you have requested the feature of it. And here, if I just go over here, key parameter, you would get the information of the travel, which says that, okay, what's the travel and its relevant information. Okay, so there is something that you are getting as an input. Now, what you are supposed to do over here is, you are supposed to fill the result parameter. Till the time you don't fill the result parameter, your values won't be defined and you won't have the fields being displayed dynamically the way we want it. Okay. So now in this case, ask, or I can say the way we will be doing this is first we would be reading the data of that particular travel based on the key parameter that we are getting. Once we do have that, we would get the data, and on the data itself, we would get the values of it, saying, okay, what's the value of this and this fields. And once we do have that, we'll be just implementing the features. So how we can do that? So to understand that, let's just go step by step. I'll just say, read the travel data by EML. So now you all are in pro in EML. So definitely you can follow the same read entities of. Now what we want to read out over here is this our travel TP. We'll just say in local mode. Okay, which information we want to read? I'll just say entity. We want to read the travel. I would like to read all the fields with corresponding We'll just say result data, LT result. Okay, and in case there are some issues, I'll just go with the failed as well. So our expectation is that this one should give us the input data. Once we do have the input data, we would iterate on all of them and we'll fill the one more field called a feature of it. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just say stop the debugger and activate this code. So we are in the very first step of it where we just derived the data. That's all, right? I do have my code activated, so I'll just put a breakpoint over here, just go back, and it just timed out. So I'll just refresh this. I'm again in my debugger, in my local. I do have the variables which are currently empty. I'll just F6. Here I can see I am getting LT result by passing the key parameter, which is giving me the information of whole travel over here. What I'm interested into this is the overall status. So if my overall status is A over here, then I want to make the field as a read only. If it's not A, then I want to make the field as mandatory. This is my expectation. This is something that I am supposed to do. Okay. Now, in this particular case, what I'll do is I want to field what particular parameter I'm talking about, the result. Correct. So I'll just simply say fill the result parameter. I'll just say result over here. So for what all parameter you would fill the result values? The result value for all the data that you just got over here. So I'll just say for ls keys in your key parameter that you are sorry, you would say ls data in all the result that you do have, right? And then you are supposed to fill the values in your result parameter, which is this one. Now, what all thing does it contain? It contains all the information over here. So I'll just say, for example, can I fill the value of percentage TKY? Does it have it? Yeah. Does my ls data has that? Percentage TKY? Yeah. So TKY is here nothing but your total key parameter. So which total key parameter ideally helps you recognize the values very fluently, like the combination of the key parameter. Once we do have that, next thing that you are supposed to fill is the feature of it. So if you just say in the result, what you would be seeing is that currently you are having the features defined on the field layer. If it says whether this field should be in a different behavior. So that's something that you are supposed to do. So what you can do in that case is you can simply say percentage field. Okay, and here you would be able to populate the value of it. So what all field you do have? You have, for example, begin date. So now in this case, what should be the value of begin date? Whether I want to make it enable or make it disable, what I want to do it with it. So for example, in your case, you want to make the begin date or end date as read only or optional based on the overall status. So simply you can say that condition when where I am getting the data, you're getting the data in ls data dash overall status. If it is equal to A, then you can simply say that I want to make my begin date as a read only. So you can say if above behavior. If you remember, we used it, I guess, sometime back, right? Today itself. Here there are multiple flags, out of which the one which is of our interest are FC, the field control. Now, as you can see, field control ideally comes up with a multiple possible values. If it's a field layer, you can definitely define it as unrestricted, mandatory, read only. Okay, so that's something that you can set it to. So I want to make, if it's a overall status is A, I want to make the field as a read only. So I'll just say FC dash F dash read only. Okay, and here I can say if it's read only and if the status is not accepted, then I want to make it the field mandatory. Now the same values I want for all of them, right? So I can, if you want, you can define a separate variable as in let, or if you want that, okay, some condition might differ going forward, is just the initial development, then you can repeat the condition over here as well, like I am doing. Now, if I just stop the execution and activate this, okay. And for a smooth execution, I'll just deactivate the debugger as well. I'll just refresh the page. As you can see, as my status over here is accepted, I can see that these fields are now a gray out one. Okay, but if I just go back, over here and I say that, okay, I want to create one more travel over here, I would see that, okay, these fields are now back to mandatory. And if I just press enter, definitely I'll be getting the same error I was getting earlier. So if I just say 2023 11, 2023 11, date, let's just say make it as 1st of March, and here let's just make it as 31st of March, and I'll just create this. Okay, if I just go into edit, I can still see that these fields are editable and are in mandatory state, thanks to the feature control that we did. Now this one, if I just try looking at this, yeah, okay, I think we removed this booking ID by mistake. Sorry, travel ID. Yeah, so if I just say that the status is empty, and now if I just set this to accepted, the moment I go in, now if I just start editing this, I can see that this particular block is now in a gray out mode, or I can say a read only one. Why is that so? Because of the feature control, we are able to get those information. Okay. So like we do have a field which can be a feature layer which says that, okay, I want to accept this field. I want to show this field as a gray out or a non-gray out, right? Same way, the feature instance, or I can say feature controls, is applicable to any of the field or action, or I can say the operations, so those are also allowed or not. So for example, if I just say accept, right? So this accept being a instance action, I can see that, okay, even though I have accepted the status, I can still see the button called accept. If I want to make this more robust, what I can see is that, okay, if I do have a travel which is in a status open, I want to allow accepting it. But if there is the travel which is already accepted, that does not make sense if I do have the button accept enabled, right? So in that case, what you can do is you can just simply go over here and in the behavior, in the behavior itself, right? You can say that the action that you are currently trying out, action over here, this action can also be made as a feature action. Okay. So when I say I can make the action as a feature action, you would get a option of marking the, I'll just say features instance. So if you just say, now I have just defined that feature instance of this. Going forward, if I want that, I want to write a condition that this particular button should be enabled or not, that's something I can also take care of. Okay, so the idea over here is that you would have an option of marking the field, marking the action, whether it should be enabled or disabled for something. So for example, I do have the mark as accepted. Now, if I just go back over here and I'll just put a cursor on get instance feature, the result part of it here, as you can see, now you are having one more things popping up, which is percentage action. In this percentage action, you can define the behavior flag of it, whether it should be enabled or disabled. Okay. So in this particular case, you can simply say that like we had a percentage field, I want to make also the percentage action over here. And I want to mention that, okay, this particular field, which I do have, so that I can have n number of such actions, right? So that's why I'm just going by the structure. If you want, you can also go field by field. That's totally up to you. I'll just say mark as expected. And here, for example, I'm again reiterating on the same logic that when my status, overall status is accepted, then I want to say that the behavior of it okay, so here we would have multiple things. I'll just say FC. So these are, if you see, there are two kind of them, right? One is F. The F is for field control. The O is for operation control. So whether you want to perform this operation enabled or disabled. So I'll just say operation control over here, and I want to ensure that this operation, if it accepted, then it should be disabled, else it should be enabled. You can simply say else if abab phv enabled. So if it is not accepted, then I want the mark as accepted as a enabled. Otherwise, I want it to be a disabled one. So I'll just activate this. Now, if I just go back over here and open my browser, I'll just refresh this. If I just execute this, you would see that as I have a status over here as open, if I just select this, I can see it as enabled. But if I just select this, I can see the button is disabled. So on the same table, the action can be decided whether they can be accepted or not. So for example, if I just go over here and I just set this from open to accepted, the moment I just say accept, the very next moment you would see that this button is no longer active for this line. How is this can be done? So without any single interference from the UI, we are controlling each and everything that can be done via the backend. So we are also controlling the features of it. Okay. So that's how you would be able to control whether my application should have the capability, this capability, or that should not be there. I mean, it all depends on the requirement. So based on the requirement,